Are you a fairly new RV owner like I am, and you're trying to figure out how the heck do I winterize an RV? You come to the right spot.
Seriously though, I couldn't find any other YouTube video or online guide that covered every winterization step from start to finish, so I decided to make this one.
The RV I'm going to be focusing on is directly behind me, and it's our Wolf Pup 16 BHS. The steps I'm going to be covering, I believe, are pretty universal to all RVs, but make sure to consult your guide or whatever paperwork you have to make sure there's not different steps or different things you should be doing.
Let's start by going over what you'll need before winterizing your RV. The first thing you'll want to pick up is 2 to 3 gallons of RV antifreeze. RV antifreeze is almost always pink, meaning it's non-toxic and it's made to protect pipes and water tanks from freezing without poisoning drinking water. There are a couple of brands that make blue RV antifreeze, but it's less common than the classic pink kind, so overall just stick with the pink and you'll be fine. I picked up this antifreeze from Amazon for about 40 bucks. The next thing you're going to want is a socket wrench with a big old 1 1/16 socket, plus an extension arm so that you're able to get your water heater's anode rod out. I also have a separate socket wrench with a 13mm socket so that I can quickly unscrew the nuts on my RV battery.
Over here I have my DeWalt air compressor, and I like this version of an air compressor because it runs off a battery, so you don't have to be plugged in if you don't have access to an AC plug somewhere. I also like the fact that when you turn this model on, you can set what you want the pressure to, and it won't go past that, so you won't risk blowing out all your water lines.
If you look at the hose on my air compressor, you'll see that I added a tire inflator hose adapter to it. Having this hose adapter allows me to attach this blowout plug, which can be screwed into my RV's city water line. This gives you an airtight seal for blowing out your lines. If you look up DeWalt bike tire hose and blowout plug on Amazon, you'll be able to find these pieces. If you're using the DeWalt air compressor or something similar, make sure the blowout plug has the bike tire end so you can attach it to the tire inflator hose. To deter rodents and other little critters from getting into your RV, pick up some Irish Spring soap and scented dryer sheets. For the next item, be sure to pick up a thing of damp rid to help keep the moisture levels under control in your RV. Then, make sure you either have your blue water drinking hose or a regular garden hose plus a PSI adapter. Last but not least, you'll want to make sure that you have one of these water heater magic spraying wands. Okay, so you made it through the first item checklist. Let's focus on the black tank draining checklist now, since that's the first thing you're going to want to do to winterize your RV. First, I have my RV sewer hose. I'm using the Rhino brand, which is well known and highly rated.
Here you have the elbow connector, and I like having it be see-through so that as you're emptying your tanks, you can actually see how much is coming out and verify when the tanks are empty.
The hose came with this 4-in-1 adapter, so no matter what size the dump station sewer inlet is, whether it's 3-inch, 3.5-inch, or 4-inch, threaded pipe, or just smooth slit fitting, this adapter lets your hose fit snugly without leaks or the need for extra fittings.
Then I got a box of disposable gloves here.
I actually prefer to use these kind because I can slip them on and off easier and then just wash them whenever.
We have our flushing hose, and you know it's a flushing hose because it is black, meaning it's meant for flushing out your black tank. You don't want to drink out of this.
This is the Flush King reverse flush valve connector.
This will connect to where your black and gray tank line comes out, and it goes on like that. You can then attach the black hose to this spigot right here, and this allows you to more efficiently blast water into the black tank, so you don't have to get up in there with a washing wand or anything like that.
Last but not least is a 5-gallon bucket, which I'm going to use to fill my black tank to 2/3 full for dumping purposes. Congrats! You made it to the first official step for winterizing your RV. The first step is to turn off your water heater, fridge, and LP gas 1 day before winterizing. By cooling down your water heater 1 day in advance before draining, you'll avoid spraying yourself with scalding water and steam. Plus, you won't damage the anode rod threads or plastic drain plug from thermal stress. Both your water heater and fridge use LP gas flames or heating elements, so shutting them off 24 hours ahead ensures the propane system is depressurized, there's no residual flames or heat sources when you start draining or pumping antifreeze, and you're not working your hot components or open gas valves. In other words, it eliminates any fire or burn risk while working on the system. Finally, allowing your fridge to defrost and dry out prevents ice buildup and gives you a chance to wipe it dry to prevent any mold from forming. Here I am opening up the water heater and flipping it to off. Then I went inside the RV and I'm flipping the master power switch to off. You might see that I'm still connected to shore power, aka hooked it to my house's AC power. That's so I can run lights and check my RV's monitor for the purposes of this video. Finally, I'm going to the propane tank and closing it shut. Step 2 is to remove any food or perishable items, as well as any soft items. By soft, I mean items that an animal might want to chew on or make into a bed. It's up to you if you want to do what I'm doing, where you remove all the rugs and all the soft bedding. It might be overkill, but I'm cautious and I just don't want any mice or other small critters tearing that stuff up. After emptying everything, the next thing you're going to want to do is empty your black tank and your gray tanks, because if you leave any of that liquid or poop and pee-pee in there, it'll clog up, get hard, and it's just gonna be not fun. Before you go over and empty your tanks, you're gonna make sure that both of them are 2/3 full. Having your tanks 2/3 full is gonna make sure you have enough in there so that everything is actually able to exit and get out, and you're not gonna be left like a little bit of sediment of yucky stuff at the bottom. Having your gray tank 2/3 full is gonna let you have enough liquid too, so that you can flush your line after you've emptied your black tank. Inside my RV, you can see on my tank monitor that my black tank is only 1/3 full and my gray tank is empty, so we need to fill them up. To fill my gray tank, I'm going to connect one of my garden hoses to my city water connection. Normally I connect our blue drinking water hose, but we don't ever actually drink the water from our RV. We use it to mostly wash our hands or dishes, so no worries about not using the actual blue water hose here. Make sure to always use a PSI adapter to avoid your lines being blown out, since you never know how much or how little water pressure will come out of the water source you're hooking up to. Now all I'm doing is going into the RV and running the sink for a while to fill my gray tank with used water. While I'm in the RV still, I'm going to go and pour water down the toilet with my 5-gallon bucket to get the black tank 2/3 full as well. Then if I look back at my monitor, you can see that both the black tank and the gray tank are 2/3 full. Head out of the RV and then disconnect your hose from the city water connection. All right, let's go ahead over and empty the tanks now. Here I am at my local campground that has a dump station. You'll see I'm parked as close as I can get to the dump area and we're on a level surface. I'll go ahead and put my gloves on and then remove the sewer cap. I'll take out the sewer hose from the back of the RV storage area and remove its caps on both ends too. Here I'm taking the Flush King connector and attaching it to the black and gray tank exit pipe. Take your time with this to make sure all the connection points are solid and you don't miss any. Repeat this process again by attaching the sewer hose to the Flush King connector, again making sure that you didn't miss any connection points. Next, attach your 4-in-1 adapter, if needed, to the end of the sewer hose on the elbow connector, making sure all connection points are solid. Then insert it into the dump station hole. Some dump stations might have a piece of wood or something else to help weigh down the sewer hose. In this case, this dump station has a pretty heavy lid, so I don't have to worry too much about the sewer hose coming loose and stuff spraying everywhere. You can buy some sewer sandbags on Amazon though if you're not sure what you'll run into at other dump stations. Alright, everything's hooked up, so now it's time to dump the tanks. Before you pull your black tank, if you pull your gray tank just for a second or two, that will help verify that all the locking mechanisms for the tubing are in place here, and then down there too, and you're not leaking sewage everywhere. It's better to leak gray water for a second or two than sewage and pee-pees. First you want to pull this tab here so the water actually flows out, and then we'll pull our gray tank. Going down. Okay, now then I'll shut it. We want to save the rest of our gray tank so that we can flush the line once we get our sewage out. Let's go ahead now. We're going to pull our black tank. You can see it's clear because I had recently done this, but in most cases it's going to be a lot more brown. You can see it's going down inside here. That tank is empty now. Nothing is coming out here in the tube. Because I don't have one of those snake things to help lift it and elevate it, I'm just going to come through. Here we go. You can go ahead and you can close your black tank. We're going to open up the gray tank now fully and just let it go. There it goes, nice and clear. Again, I just filled this up. We emptied it not too long ago, so it's not super murky looking. Everything's going down there. No leaks. Nothing out of here. All right, with the gray tank all emptied out, we're going to close that up. Boom, boom, boom. Again, if you want to get any of that out of the tube that might be left in there, go ahead and lift it up. If you don't have that ladder tool, you can see some liquids coming out there that was trapped in the tube still. For this next part, I'm attaching my black flushing hose to the water spigot so I can clean the tanks out.
We're going to take our hose here and we're going to hook it up. So I'm going to tighten this down. If I go the right way, maybe. We can go ahead and we're going to close this part and we're going to open up our black tank. And go ahead and turn the water on here. Water is engaged, coming down up through there into the tube. And then I'm gonna turn this to release the water. You can see there. The water's building up here because I had this closed, and it can go up into the black tank just to get any remnants that might be on the bottom layer that maybe there wasn't enough liquid or enough of an incline or whatever that's just trapped. And flush here, pull this to open it. Close this for a second, let it wash out again. But you would just rinse and repeat this. If it's still dirty and you feel like there's more you gotta wash out, close that up, open this again, let it build up, get into that black tank a little bit. Rinse and repeat until the water is more clear.
Once you're done cleaning out your tanks, you can pack everything up and head out. Pro tip, if you have the time, you can also wash your hose or other parts out at the dump site and leave them out at home for a bit to dry before you have to store your RV all winter. One last thing I should mention, you do not need to add RV tank treatment when winterizing your RV. Tank treatments are designed to break down waste and control odor while the system is in use. When you winterize, you should have already emptied and thoroughly flushed out the black tank like we've been showing, so there's nothing left to treat. And the same is with the gray tank. You don't need any tank treatment. Instead, what's important is to add a small amount of non-toxic RV antifreeze into the tank to keep the seals moist and prevent freezing, which we're going to show later on in this video. And we've arrived at my parents' land, but we're gonna store our RV. There he is, the legend Gary. As you can see now, the RV is on a level playing field, so we can go ahead and drain things. So let's get started. At this point, you should be disconnected from city water. For this phase, you'll either want to have your battery still hooked up to your RV or have access to shore power, aka AC power, so you can use your RV's water pump later on to suck up the antifreeze. I have my battery in still, so I'm going back inside the RV and flipping the master power switch back to on. However, during this next step, you want to make sure that your water pump is set to off. Then, while still in the RV, open all faucets, showers, inside and out, and toilets to release pressure in the system. When opening your faucets and showers, make sure you're opening your hot and cold lines. This ensures you're draining water out of each temperature line. Shut it. Make sure to go to the outside of your RV and drain your outside shower as well. For some reason I was missing this shot, but to drain the toilet line, all I did was step on the toilet release valve on the bottom to let the water flow through the toilet. Then I headed back out to the outside of the RV to open the low point drains. And then here's your hot, here's your cold. We're just gonna open those up. Open this one up. Close them, and then now drain this one. Here's your freshwater tank, this whole thing. So we're gonna open this up. Shut it. After draining the fresh water tank, I'm gonna go ahead and drain the gray tank one last time just to get the excess water that built up from opening up any of the sink faucets, shower heads, and the toilet. Shut that. Put this back on. Wash my hands. Then we're moving on to step 5, where we drain the water heater. We're going to start by removing the anode rod. We're going to get this piece right here. This is where you're going to use that 1 1/16 socket wrench with the extension arm. You can open the pressure relief valve to help this drain faster, but I just let it go. Then, if you have one of these magic wand washer things, you can use it to get up inside the opening where the anode rod went and clean out any of the hard mineral deposits that might have built up over the season. Once you're all done with that step, go ahead and wipe up any excess water after all the water is drained out of the water heater. If you're looking for a spot where you can store your anode rod, just go ahead and put it on the bottom of your water heater and close it up. Then you'll have it right there before next camping season. Just make sure to replace the Teflon tape if you need to. For step 6, go back into the RV and bypass the water heater by turning the two valves so that they are in line with the tube and not going into the water heater. We're doing this before we blow out our lines with compressed air in the next step, because we don't want air pressure to build up in the tank, which could cause moisture spray, scale debris, or even damage the internal heater's components. We're also going to be putting antifreeze through the system, and you do not want antifreeze going into your water heater. Alright, here we are, and we have the RV parked in my dad's barn. We're going to move on to the final steps. In step 6, where you blow out the lines, you're going to want to attach the blowout plug to the city water line on your RV by screwing it in with your hands so that it's tight. Then take the tire inflator hose adapter and clamp it onto the blowout plug.
Clamp it down. It's on. I am now on the inside of the RV, and I'm going to turn on each point where water can come out one by one. And my dad is going to turn the air compressor on to about 35 psi. You want to be between 30 and 40 psi so you don't blow the lines out. So, Dad, you can go ahead and turn it on to 35. Alright, so we're going to turn this one on. You can definitely see there's water still on that line. Turn this on. This on. Alright, go ahead. There's not as much coming out of here. Make sure you press this so that the water's coming out, whatever's in there. Put this back, close these up. Go ahead and start it again. We'll do a toilet. That line is pretty much done. Nothing really in it. Okay, good. Alright, so we're gonna go underneath now and get the low point drains. These guys right there. Do the hot, the cold first. Okay, that's all done, so we'll close those up. You're almost done, don't worry, there's only one major step left. We're back in the camper now.
Where's the beer?
And we're gonna put the antifreeze through the tubing now. Alright, so back under the bed, we're gonna take this line that we already had installed on our camper, and we're gonna turn that nozzle on the back side there so that the RV fluid's gonna sit in here and it's gonna suck it up and run it through all the tubing. The water heater's good because we've turned these lines already outside before so that the water's bypassing the water heater. Open this guy up. Before you start doing this, if there's an end cap that looks like a screen, you would think if you just loosen it or put it in your fluid, it would go. But ours, in fact, is not, and yours might not be too. So you're gonna wanna unscrew this fully, not just even partially, unscrew it all the way, and now you can see you'll have access to the antifreeze. Put this in. Okay, so you come over here, you're gonna turn your water pump on, and that's gonna pressurize the line, so we'll click that. Get it over here. Okay, it's turning pink, so now you can shut it off. And you know, we're gonna turn this off too, just because we don't need it on right now. You got RV antifreeze going through this whole line. I'm gonna open up the shower again. And I actually have pink already going through here a little bit. So go ahead and do the pump just briefly. Yep, we're good. Off. Perfect. We finished off the first one, so we're going to replace the first antifreeze with the second one so we can do the toilet. Good.
I went back outside quick and ran RV fluid through the outdoor shower lines. To finish off step 7, pour 1 to 2 cups of antifreeze into the sink drain, the shower drain, and the toilet bowl. If you want to get some antifreeze into the gray and black tanks, you can do so through the toilet and sink.
Here's another pro tip. Save your containers that the RV antifreeze came in and write old or new on it so you know if you could use it next year, or you could save the container and write old on it. So when it comes time to get all the antifreeze out, you can recycle it into there and then take it to a landfill or dump it down a toilet or whatever if it's the safe environmentally stuff.
We are now in phase 8, the final steps. Go ahead and turn off the water pump and close all the faucets if you haven't already. Remove the antifreeze spare tube and reattach the end cap. Reconnect the line to the fresh water tank.
Flip it.
Remove any remaining items that might still be in the RV, like dry goods, sleeping bags, cushions, and then prop the fridges open, both inside and out. This helps prevent mold from growing. Then spread out your Irish Spring soap and scented dryer sheets throughout the RV. I put some across the beds, in the bathroom, and even in some of the cabinets. Next, open the damp rid container and put it in the middle of the RV.
Leave this part on.
Then you're going to want to disconnect the battery. Make sure to disconnect the negative or black cable first, then the positive red cable. Then remove your washer, locking washer, and nut on the battery terminal.
All right, so what we're gonna do here is we're actually gonna take the summer caps off of the battery. We already took that one off. And we're gonna put these caps on here so that, who knows, I mean, odds of something happening are pretty low, but we don't want these two posts to touch with any piece of metal or anything, because that would cause a spark and not be good. Or if you eventually put it on the trickle charger and you have the clamps on, you could put them underneath and put these on top still to deter someone from touching them, or again, making a connection between the two of them.
The very last things I'm going to do now are tuck the wires back into the battery storage container and then lock everything up on the RV. And there you go, the 8 steps you need to follow in order to fully winterize your RV. Now, we covered a lot of steps here, and I know it's a long video, so I thought it might be beneficial to give you a little cheat sheet that you can either look at or make your own version of when it comes time to winterize your RV. So here's the step-by-step list of what we covered in this video.
This concludes the RV winterizing process 2025. Hope you liked the extensive video, and let us know how good of a cameraman Gary was.
Whatever.